Hello there. Welcome everybody to today's LinkedIn Live event, which is tomorrow's tech for law enforcement vehicles. So my name is Rose Dunn. I'm a technical consultant with VNC Automotive. So we're based in Cambridge in the UK. So yeah, we've got a really interesting topic for you today. We're going to be talking about automotive technology and the future of law enforcement vehicles. And we've got some, hopefully some very insightful conversation going on with our guest speakers. So let me introduce them to you. So first of all, we have Tom Blackie, who's the CEO from VNC Automotive. Hi there, Tom.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here and looking forward to chatting over this very interesting topic.
Thanks, Tom. And secondly, we have Roger Lonto, our industry expert in automotive from Strategy Analytics. Hi there, Roger.
Hi, Rose. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Roger.
Great you could join us today, both of you. Thank you. So maybe I can start the discussion off by sort of posing a question about why we're talking about this. So, you know, why are we talking about automotive technology in particular with law enforcement vehicles? So, Tom, maybe you can start us off.
Yeah, well, basically, VNC Automotive, we've been working in certainly consumer vehicles for some time, particularly connecting phones to cars. Now, over the past few years, we've been involved in quite a number of law enforcement projects, and we've been seeing a huge interest and demand, particularly from police forces, to connect various different types of equipment to the nice big OEM screen that's in the middle of the dashboard nowadays. So we've been very much drawn into this by customer demand, you know, pulling and asking for this kind of technology. And just to give you a couple of examples of that, you know, traditionally police cars would be converted by specialist installers who would screw in and fix screens to the dashboard and laptops, and you know, in some vehicles the whole of the passenger side is completely taken up by equipment, PCs that do automatic number plate recognition and you know, CCTV camera recording type equipment. And there is now an opportunity to have all of that equipment connected to the nice big screen in the middle of the dashboard, and to have it controlled from there. And that then makes the installation process much easier and much more ergonomic for the police officers driving the vehicles.
Yeah, and the reason why I think we're talking about this right now is because technology moves so fast. It's no secret that the automotive industry, just for passenger vehicles, which are frequently the same kind of vehicles that police departments are using, just cannot keep pace with technology in the mobile device market, as well as the evolution of wireless networks. So there is a need to integrate, and that is reflected in applications like CarPlay and Android Auto. But it essentially goes beyond that. So you know, police, law enforcement, their priorities for application development will be quite different from the application development environment for Apple or Google. And so law enforcement officers and their equipment, they have a different need for integration. And these kinds of applications are not, you know, fun and games. This is life-saving stuff, law enforcement issues, critical, urgent performance issues. And the key is to get these kind of clever solutions. So Tom mentioned the license plate reading capability, better integrating the sensors on the car. So cars are getting more sensors. Cameras in particular are rapidly multiplying on cars, both inside and outside the vehicle, and even officers with cameras that they're wearing. And so there's a need to integrate that information in the car, in the dash, and get better situational awareness, take advantage of cloud applications as well, which often require additional hardware, which fundamentally doesn't need to be in the cabin. It could be in the boot or somewhere else if you have a device that facilitates that integration.
Oh, that's really interesting. So, we're talking about streamlining the dashboard, improving the safety, even to the point of saving people's lives in the vehicle. That's really important stuff, isn't it? So, Tom, I think obviously VNC Automotive has been working in this area for a number of years, and more lately, in the first responder market. Tom, could you give us some sort of examples of what we've been doing that might apply to the people listening to this LinkedIn Live?
Yeah, absolutely. So, some of the things are connecting the systems that control blue lights and sirens. So, typically there would be some kind of keypad screwed to the dashboard with big buttons. So, we're now able to integrate that onto the screen in the dashboard. We have examples of, as I mentioned before, automatic number plate recognition systems. Typically, there would be a PC normally in the boot or the trunk of the vehicle, which would be connected to its own screen and keyboard and user interface, again, screwed somewhere in the center console or onto the dashboard. We're actually able to strip out all of those extra keypads and screens and keyboards and have everything, just seamlessly integrated, much like having an app or a user interface on the middle of the dashboard. And, in the US, things are a little bit different in that police officers typically spend a lot of time in their vehicles, often, hundreds of miles from the base. And they are like a mobile office or a mobile home almost. And they do all the work in the vehicle, entering reports and writing up things. So using laptops and accessing databases and so forth. And that's quite a different use case from the UK, where officers tend to go back to the police stations and then spend time at a desk actually filling out reports. And again, quite a different use case. So connectivity to and from the vehicle is also very important. It's not just about the equipment in the vehicle connecting to the front. It's the ability to connect to and from the cloud and to back office systems and so forth. So yeah, quite a lot of varying use cases, often transferred between both the sort of UK European market and the US actually.
Yeah, fundamentally, we're trying to save time, money, and lives with this kind of an integration solution. So time, the applications are fully integrated. There's no difficulty about connecting up devices or trying to find a device. It's all fully integrated in the car. Saving money because it's just reducing the cost of integration, and of course saving lives, which is a collateral benefit from both of those first two priorities. Just looking at the fact that turning on the siren, then those devices could be configured to notify all other devices in the area that this particular vehicle is responding to an emergency, and all other vehicles in the area would see where the vehicle is in real time, as well as other responding emergency vehicles, whether they be ambulances or fire trucks. So those kinds of applications can be created and more rapidly deployed to the force because that integration platform is there to make things easier. To say nothing of enhanced contextual awareness, and even maybe automating some of that form paperwork completing activity with a superior integration between the back office and the vehicles.
Yeah, there's a lot of good use cases there. So obviously, like VNC Automotive has this product called the Cobalt Cube, which fulfills some of these requirements of making the integration with the IVI screen and the dashboard a bit more easy to install for a start. And I was just wondering what you both think the benefits of these systems would be to the end users and to the vehicle integrators, manufacturers.
Yeah, I think there's a number of really obvious quick wins, if you like. So, you know, instead of having to spend perhaps a man week or two's effort in terms of cutting wiring harnesses and you know, fitting specialist equipment and configuring things, it really is a matter of plugging in a USB cable to the existing USB port that the OEM will supply with the nice big head unit. So the installation cost is hugely cheaper using this kind of integrated system. There's obviously cost savings in terms of the resale value of vehicles at the end, because they haven't been practically destroyed with you know, lots of holes in the dashboard, etc. But I think perhaps one of the more interesting use cases is the ability to roll out new applications and new features using over-the-air updates without the need to then go and deploy new equipment in a car. So I think that future-proofing of the vehicle is something that we're going to see more and more of. So, you know, we're already seeing examples of sort of fleet management type applications be deployed, and then new features are added and refined, and then sent over the air, which can then radically improve the usability for the drivers. So I think that's going to be quite a major difference in saving from the sort of traditional approaches of installing sort of niche equipment to do one specific task. So I think we'll see a lot more of that in the future, and this kind of technology just enables it.
I think there's no better example of this than the transition that we're going through both in Europe and the US from 2G, 3G to 5G. So in the US, almost all of the 2G and 3G networks have been shut down. In Europe, the GSMA has made it clear to the industry, the automotive industry in particular, that 2G and 3G are in the process of going away, which is particularly shocking when you consider that the e-call mandate was basically written to a 2G, 3G specification. But if you're law enforcement, you want the latest technology in your vehicle. So in order to get the latest technology, which would be C-V2X and 5G, you're pretty much going to need some kind of an aftermarket kind of a device. And you're going to want to have that kind of capability because the communication bandwidth is greater, the speed is faster, the latency is lower. And also you have this ability with C-V2X for communication with infrastructure. So of course, the police has access to preempting traffic signals, but maybe also they will have in the future the ability to see what the traffic signals are, as well as other infrastructure kinds of communications, even mobile edge computing, which they're probably going to need an aftermarket device to get into the cars, because the automakers, due to some spectrum disputes and the high cost of hardware, have been a little bit slow to integrate 5G in new cars. So the police can't afford to wait for that integration to happen. And they're going to want to have that latest technology as soon as they can get access to it. And this kind of an aftermarket device will make that possible.
Yeah, it's really exciting, isn't it? I mean, yeah, thanks for your insight there, Roger. I guess like the industry as a whole is seeing changes. So Tom, maybe you can elaborate a bit more, maybe like to do with electric vehicles or other technology. What have you experienced?
Yeah, I mean, we are seeing a sea change, and you know, electric vehicles are definitely going to come along. You know, there's all the environmental considerations, but you know, fundamentally, these have huge potential. You know, all the AI capabilities that these vehicles come with will give huge amounts of driver assistance. Now, this is something that, you know, law enforcement can probably make use of. I think there's still a lot to play out in that respect. But you know, you can imagine you know, a self-driving vehicle at some point in the future, where the law officer can you know, be using the 5G connections and the infrastructure to draw down information about the incident that they're currently traveling to, whilst the vehicle's taking them there. I think one of the other key points is the bi-directional connectivity to and from the vehicle, so that a law officer could be out dealing with a particular incident, but the control room can be connecting into the vehicle, making announcements across the tannoy system, directing CCTV cameras so that they can record what's going on, and the control room operatives can make decisions about sending extra officers, whether they need to call an ambulance or a fire service, or particular bits of specialist equipment when they're able to review the scene of the incident. So I think there will be a huge amount of much more joined up thinking, and with the help of AI, a lot of this could actually be done automatically as well.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned electrification. So certainly police officers will want to know if in the future, when more of them are driving electric vehicles, what their range is, where are the charging stations, where are the fast charging stations. Actually, we are entering a new era in emergency response where there will be more information communicated from the vehicle, from the crash scene. And again, law enforcement will want to have the means to get all the latest information, including everything from the protocols for EV extraction, which of course is normally a firefighter concern, but certainly the police will be concerned as well. If there's a crash scene with an electric vehicle, whether that vehicle can be approached and how it can be approached safely and handled, but also even getting information about the severity of the crash in real time, the condition of the passengers, so getting vehicle data. And I don't want to frighten anybody, but OnStar for many years has had a remote slowdown function as part of the GM OnStar platform, whereby if police are notified of a stolen vehicle and they have the stolen vehicle in sight, they have a remote slowdown capability. This is a kind of capability that could be added as a aftermarket solution to cars that otherwise have all the other necessary requirements. They just don't have that application developed. This kind of device will enable that opportunity. So yes, imagine police officers slowing your vehicle down when you've been caught speeding, or preferably if your car has been stolen and the police are trying to recover that and correct the situation.
Yeah, it's like the stuff from sci-fi, isn't it? Where you imagine these things and they're all becoming real.
It's important to keep the mind open as to the possibilities. Yes,
the technology's here now. It's really a matter of users finding it acceptable. And in the consumer vehicles, we already have experience of this sort of technology being used, for example, for parents to control what a new driver, their son or daughter, takes the vehicle, and they've newly passed their driving test. The parents can actually control the speed and the power and so forth that the vehicle will give a new driver. So we're already starting to see this. The technology's here. It's just about the kind of human acceptance of what's actually allowable and what they feel comfortable with enabling. So yeah, I think we'll see a lot more of that, and hopefully in law enforcement, it'll make things much easier for
or even having facial recognition as an aftermarket solution in a police car, so that a criminal can't steal the car, and that the car immediately recognizes the officer, and all of that officer's important information is immediately infused into the system after being maintained in the cloud, so it isn't stored in the vehicle. But an aftermarket solution that facilitates that and speeds this integration and deployment, that's the key here.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think people kind of trust this technology? It's moving very fast, isn't it? What do you guys think?
Do we have a choice?
Yeah, I think people will come to like the technology, but I think there's still a little bit of a hurdle there. Yeah, at some point, I'm sure it'll be, ubiquitous everywhere. It's just it'll take time to get there fundamentally.
Yeah. So yeah, we have a few minutes remaining actually. So the last question for the day. So if you could give the audience that's watching this one piece of advice, what would it be, Tom?
Gosh, that's an interesting one. I think open your mind to what's possible with this technology, because fundamentally it's here now. Roger mentioned about the latest 5G LTE type networks. They're going to enable a huge number of use cases. They already are, much higher bandwidth, much lower latency. These are providing really key connections to and from vehicles. And I think it's just going to open up more and more applications. And to be honest, it's more how the user or the fleet manager's mind can actually work and open up. Because what seems like science fiction can actually be done nowadays. There's just a myriad of potential applications and use cases, and we're finding this in the law enforcement space, that there's more and more different types of equipment that can now be connected and controlled much more automatically. The use of voice, for example, as an interface, it's here now. You've got all the different voice recognition software providers. That's all available in the vehicle. The officers can talk to the vehicles and control things, and it just makes the whole user interaction with the vehicle and the systems around the vehicle much smoother and much more intuitive. Just being able to use natural language to say switch on the blue lights, or get me information about the car that I'm following and the potential driver, and that whole voice integration, I think, is going to be a huge piece. So I just really advise fleet managers, officers, end users to open their mind to what's actually possible, and feel free to talk to technology companies like ours, and I'm sure we can bring an awful lot of knowledge to help their pretty critical jobs that they do.
Yeah, the key issue here is the word fleet that Tom just mentioned. So the whole commercial fleet space, which includes law enforcement and firefighting, ambulance, emergency response vehicles, other kinds of commercial vehicles, delivery vehicles, the organizations running those fleets have a keen understanding of the business models that pre-exist the arrival of these technologies. So they are better equipped to take advantage of these technologies to fulfill their business requirements, as well as to, which are things around compliance and safety, fuel efficiency, logistics, etc. Another good example is, again, the need to use probably aftermarket technology to get 5G technology into law enforcement vehicles, or any fleet vehicles for that matter. But for law enforcement vehicles, not only will you have cameras to understand situational awareness, but 5G enables the identification of vulnerable road users, as well as individuals around the vehicle that may have 5G devices. Police officers will have an immediate visual capability. Someone will have to create the application in the car, but it can be delivered through an aftermarket device with 5G technology, so they could see, are there people around the car? Are those law enforcement personnel, or are those civilians, pedestrians? It's just more information, more inputs, again, to save time, money, and hopefully to save lives.
That's a great point to end on. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Tom Blackie and Roger Lanto, for joining us today. That's all we've got time for. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I hope you found that interesting. I certainly did. Please get in touch if you've got any thoughts on what we've said today. So Thanks. Bye bye for now.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.